Welcome to Teamfight Talkshow, everybody. I am DoA. With me is Frodan, as always. And with us today is a very special guest, a very sad bee, it looks like. But we know him as Souless. How's it going, man?
Hello. Oh, this is good.
Yeah? All
Yeah,
right.
thanks for having me.
Cool.
Is
You are
this,
not as sad as the bee on your portrait, huh?
Yeah. Is this an environmental campaign to save the bees or something?
Dude, like there's a
Senpai quest.
beehive right outside my apartment, and like some of them come into like the awning to go into our like area and then die. So there's like dead bees all over this stairway to get out of my apartment building. It's really freaky. But side note, anyway, bee related side note. But we have a lot of non-bee related things to talk about today. It's TFT. Obviously, as you can tell from Frodan's and my background, set 4 is out on the PBE. It's been awesome. But before we get to that, we're going to talk about the set 3 championships, how it all wrapped up. But before we get to that, though, Frodan, how you been? I haven't asked you how you're doing yet.
It's been great. I've been really busy with some other projects, doing Hearthstone Grandmasters. I was, I really wanted to come and join you to do the World Championship and the Set 4 showcase.
We wanted it too.
But I just wasn't available. And I'm really looking forward to Set 4. And maybe next time I'll be able to join around because it looked really fun. It looked pretty epic. And I'm enjoying Set 4 a ton. Been trying to play as much PBE within my free time as I can.
Awesome. I'm sure a lot of us have been. Although I was talking with Souless before the show, and he was mentioning that he had to play his decay games on the live server just to make sure to maintain that MMR until Set 4 hits live. But let's wait with the Set 4 talk for a moment. We'll talk about Set 3 first. It got its send-off. It's still live, of course, but for all intents and purposes, Set 3 Esports has concluded. We had our World Championship last week. And it was an exciting one. Ended up with a 16-year-old from France, KC Double 61. I still see KFC Double Down when I look at his name, by the way. I can't help it. But played great. Won 3 games in a row to win the finals. Souless, I'll ask you this question first. Like, what do you think about the breakdown of the top 8 here? Is it kind of what you had expected going into it? Were you surprised by anything? What were your kind of reactions to the top 8 here?
Oh, when I saw that 3 EU player made it to the final, I already knew the winner or like the advantage was like toward the EU. Not because like it's 3 out of 8, It's
Yeah.
because the meta is more shifted toward EU, because like 3 out of 8 players is from EU. So they
Right.
probably got used to like the play style of each other, and then they just play with that pacing, and then eventually when it come down to like final top 4, it's just like they just don't know what to do,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was, and that was kind of one of the things that kind of threw people off a lot about those finals, is that we ended up having a lot of representation from EU. Only one NA technically player. We had Obo from OCE because they had that combined thing, and so we'll talk about that. I think a little bit at first. I want to talk more about the actual like players and things like that. But let's talk format. Obviously, Souless as an NA representative, and DoA and Frodan and I, obviously, as we, I would say we're NA representatives as well. It was a little bit awkward, it was a little bit disappointing to only see one person from our region in the finals when we know there's a lot of really, really good players in here. What was your take on that, Frodan? What do you think could have been done to kind of change the format up a little bit to make it a little bit more balanced per se? Because I think we should have had more. We should have had more NA.
That's such an open-ended question, and
Yeah, that's the idea.
The fortunate truth is that there's just too many things to say about the TFT championships.
Yeah.
To improve. There's just like everything needs to improve. It's
Yeah,
when people
definitely.
ask like Souless or Kurum or Soju about like how to like what's the difference between a challenger player and like a masters player or like a diamond player. The answer is everything. Like they're doing everything better. And
Mhm.
that's kind of the same thing here. Like, what makes the difference between like TFT World Championship and everything else? Like, they need to improve everything across the board. But like at the same time, it was. I'm not trying to like be down on it to start things off here too hard. They really tried to pull things together, and we all know that quarantine really threw a big wrench into plans, and
Sure.
they can't even get players in studios. So they have them play with like ping and and that's not ideal, right? Especially if you're trying to do like intense like microwing towards the last seconds. So everyone knew it was kind of scuffed going into it. It's just kind of sad to see like the entire like road qualification kind of be hamstrung by the idea that like not every region had consistency in terms of the
Mhm.
qualification method.
Yeah.
We had like qualifiers get shut down midway while the patch is dropping on LATAM servers. We had players, who were not even part of the tournament play because in OCE, for example, part of the qualification for the finals, they didn't have enough players show up, so they had to just queue random normals because there wasn't, private lobbies or ways to go about it.
Mhm.
So the World Championship definitely had its struggles, but I will say that the format, to answer your question, actually was pretty fun to watch. I think it was pretty exciting, and I think like the one thing that they do have something like they do have some kind of product that I think people really enjoy watching. So I got to tune in for parts of the broadcast and watch a little bit of the VODs.
Mhm.
And I think like at its core, TFT has kind of proven that it is a really exciting game to watch as long as it's painted that way. I just kind of wish the production was a little better. The observing was like really poor, to say it lightly, because it just felt like they
Yeah.
were following only one player, and there wasn't really like narrative driven. It felt like it was like kind of as if they were casually observing and spectating. I didn't feel the stakes of the World
Yeah.
Championship. It didn't really
That
feel
was
like doubles was like really the winner of the whole thing. It just felt like kind of casually like, oh, and this person won, as if it was like a weekly King of the Hill tournament.
Yeah, I think I can speak to that a moment. I want to get your thoughts on it in a second, Solus. But as far as the observing specifically, I think it was a situation where the observers weren't quite as familiar with competitive TFT and sort of like how you build stories around there. And it was, I would say, the communication was difficult between casters and observers at times, as far as like making sure the right things happen. So that was something that we talked a lot about after day one and tried to clean up for a little bit for day two. But yeah, it was, well, like you said, there's a ton of things to talk about with that. Will, I don't want to dwell on it too much. I did want to bring it up because I think it is important, because this is a show a lot about, it's about TFT, but it's also about TFT esports quite a bit. So we should talk about it. And I'll bring up the thing that I've been saying, all year, where it's like, it's a year for experimentation. A lot of things that are knowing now in TFT esports are going to be things that we look at and laugh about in future years. It's just how it is at the beginning of an esport. But Solus, do you have any thoughts to add as far as what would you do to improve the qualification kind of stuff? Like what would your
Oh,
qualifiers look like ideally? Just
I
so
feel
that,
like we just need more slot, like more
yeah,
players in the final tournament, because more players from different region means more audience,
for
and then
sure.
people would have like the team they want to cheer for. And
Yeah.
I feel like there's not that much hype this tournament because there's so little thought. But also because like Brad didn't really like promote the tournament that hard. And
I think there could have been more done too
yeah.
there. Yeah,
yeah,
I agree.
yeah.
So would you rather
Would
see?
you guys? Okay,
Would
I
you?
wanted to ask a question.
Sure, go
Don't
ahead.
you get the feeling that like they felt like they had to do something for it, but because of like a lot of surrounding circumstances, that's not ideal. Like they have to have like a global tournament, especially since they promised it and they have all these qualifiers. But
Mhm.
because like they couldn't even get the players in the same studio, for example, it felt like they almost weren't trying to promote it super hard because they recognized that it was going to be like pretty makeshift and put together
That
last
might be
second.
part of it. I think
Yeah.
from what I gather, it seemed like there was just nobody with the ability to really take the reins and make sure that this was consistent across regions. Simply because it just didn't seem like there was anyone with the TFT competitive knowledge to really, create the proper formats for something like this and then, delegate that to the other regions. So it was kind of just allowed to just happen however people decided to make it happen, which led to what we got, right? So I think that's something in the future that the communication needs to be better. There needs to be people with a lot more experience and knowledge about what makes TFT esports work. Part of the conversations, I think. Souless, I'm going to ask you this question because I was kind of curious about this. What do you think about ladder qualification versus tournament qualification? Do you think it should be balanced? Do you think there should be more players from one than the other? Do you think there should even be a difference? What do you think about that?
I think I'm fine with both ladder and tournament qualification, but like I feel like the requirement for tournament should be like much higher. So the way they made it in TL is like challenger player get prio. I like that, but I feel like rank should get prio. You know, like the number of LP you have, you should get prio over that because it's just that it make the lobby more fair and the play style each player is like similar level. Like you don't get free win if you're lucky and you're versus like a really really weak player. Yeah. Also, to add like in the World Championship when I was watching, the spectator guy was I don't know. I feel like if they had like better spectating, it would a better viewing experience too.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
And like spectating, it's like it seems like it should like for those who aren't in the know per se, it seems like it should be an easy game to spectate because like, well, I'll just watch this guy for a little while, I'll just watch this guy for a little while, and it really is, as we know, a lot more deep than that, right? Where through the course of a lobby, there ends up being, there's multiple storylines going on. There's a player that's coming into
Yeah.
this lobby after having done well. There are the players that develop strong comps throughout the lobby who you're watching for. You're thinking about the players who are in interesting points as far as how many points they have in the tournament. So it's much more complex than people give it credit for, and I think that did show a little bit.
Yeah.
Spectator
I've
mode,
ran
please.
TFT tournaments, having casted TFT tournaments, it's pretty tricky. I kind of want to just again, give a nod to some of the people that did work really hard to make these championships happen. And the Cloud9 people for the Nebula qualifiers gave DoA and I the mouse. They're like, you can control who you want to spectate and when. And I still think that was my favorite experience because whenever DoA and I was like, well, let's really curious to see what happened. Like
That
I
was
just
great.
saw this 3-star
Yeah.
this 3-star Teemo get made. We can go ahead and switch immediately to their POV and see how things are developing. It's kind of hard because usually the caster's like, well, I wonder what's happening over there. Like,
You
and
have
then
to
we
kind
have
of
to
like
like make
lead
some
them into it.
not so subtle
Yeah.
clues to tell production to switch. It's not really elegant. So,
Well-
some people are really working hard on it, and there's a lot of effort that went into those regionals, especially anything that like GiantSlayer touches. I know like we're on their channel, and it sounds a little bit biased, but like they really do go above and beyond to try to make like the competitive aspect of TFT like really a special experience for anyone participating.
Well, I think as well, like C9, I'm glad you brought that up because they actually reached out to us when they were deciding their format for the tournament and got our input in there, which was great.
Right.
And I think that, without tooting my own horn, as it were, a bit, I think that helped, right? And GiantSlayer, obviously, the TFT side of things are run by people who are, very, very good players at the game and who really understand it and all that. So that helps as well. But I want to move on a little bit from this discussion to just talking about a little bit of general TFT stuff because again, like it's a little bit of a downer, right? Because you do, like you said, Frodan, we do appreciate the work that's gone into producing this kind of stuff, but it could be so much better, and I believe it will be for set 4, but it deserves talking about, even if it is a little bit uncomfortable from time to time. But let's move on to something a bit more fun, which is sort of the set 3 sort of finishing recap of comps and things like that, the state of the meta and everything. So I want to ask you, Souless, at the end of the day, now that we're kind of in the twilight days of set 3, what's been your favorite comp to play, and what's been your favorite champion to use? I know it's kind of softball stuff, but it can lead to some interesting conversation. So,
my favorite comp to play is probably reroll Bang Bros.
Okay.
And
wait,
like
right in there. Why?
Yeah, the adrenaline of like rolling down and hitting a unit just feel really good, And then switching the rebel last second, is that it require like so much APM, and you feel like one mistake could like cost you the game too, like leveling at the wrong interval, rolling at the wrong time, like rolling too much, like digging too deep, would cost you the game too. And then you need like the right items too. So like it's just like a very exciting comp to play. It's like gambling. Yeah.
So does that mean your favorite unit is Master Yi then?
Yep. It's I was also like a Yi-Man league, so like all the champion that was in the comp.
Yeah.
Like I have Mastery 7 in all of them, so like yeah, it's kind of
big you're a big Corn Salad fan from back in the day, I'm sure. Nobody knows who Corn Salad is anymore. He was a mid laner in Korea. He only played Master Yi. He was awesome.
Oh.
That was like 8 years ago, so never mind.
Like season 2 of League, season 3.
Nobody remembers Corn Salad. Somebody out there knows him.
Got it. I thought people were really kind of saying, or like people are asking about like Dark Stars, and you were someone that really helped pioneer that early in the set. Was that also a comp that you really enjoyed too?
Wait, what comp?
Dark Stars, since that was like
he's already forgetting. It's like...
Oh no, yeah, Dark Star was also one of my other favorite comp, but I don't know. I feel like Dark Star has so much counter until you hit Serath, because Vanguard just make it unplayable for Dark Star, because all your damage is physical, and the Vanguard buff was too much. That made Shaco unplayable too.
Shaco didn't seem very unplayable at the World Championships.
Oh no, that was because Vanguard Mystic fell out meta, but like most of the set, Vanguard Mystic was definitely meta, and Darkstar was like really hard to play because
it felt like 3.5. Yeah, really made it tougher.
Yeah.
So go ahead.
Who's in your Bang Bros triangle, Souless? What champion are you, and who are the other? Who's the Yasuo, who's the Zed?
It's me and my 2 other Smurf accounts.
It's just you cloned twice.
That's all right.
I see. Just Souless and the Souless clones.
I like that answer. I like.
It's got attitude.
Souless and then Bullcut Slayer and the rest.
Which account?
Yeah. So I want to ask you about the swap from set 3 to 3.5. It was the first time they tried something like this. I think it went pretty awesomely. But as a top player in the game, how do you feel about that kind of thing happening during the set where there's this big revamp? Things change a lot, but they don't change completely. Do you like it? I would assume you do, but I want to hear your thoughts on it.
My favorite part about every set is the restart the ladder, because it gave me like the motivation to grind for rank 1 and then AFK for the rest of the set, which is what I'm known for, hitting rank 1 and then AFK. But yeah, it gives you like a refreshing feeling that the set new, so you don't get burnt out, and then you can continue your grinding.
Okay, fair enough. Well, I think that's about all I have to say about set 3. I mean, I enjoyed playing Star Guardian Sorks. That was my comp of choice. It was the comp that won the very last game in the World Championships, so I think that's saying something. I feel like I picked the right comp there. But Dan, any closing thoughts on set 3 from you?
I enjoyed it. A lot of comps. I don't think like one comp like particularly stood out to me besides maybe Astro Snipers. I just thought it was really cool flavor wise.
Yeah.
And I think there was just a lot of hype going into like when Timo would ever come to TFT, and I think they did it really well. So overall, it was a really fun comp that I enjoyed playing. But I'm really excited for set 4, and I kind of want to talk about it since we have like so much to kind of cover. It's like
Yes.
the biggest set we've ever had, and
That's
there's
why I was
just
trying
so
to
much
move things
cover.
along. Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's start out. Let's shift gears. Let's go on. Goodbye, Galaxies. We're done talking about the set. We'll never see its like again. It was great. But time to move on to set 4 TFT Fates. And so let's start out with the roadmap. Let's check this out because this is something that they put out a little bit earlier this year. So we've got the set 4 launch coming up soon. We know early 2021 is mid-set update, spring 21 World Championship for set 4. But you know, some of these things, like we've got we now know, I feel like, what improved arenas mean. We have arenas that react to you winning and all sorts of animations, that kind of fun stuff. We don't have the new mode yet. Tournament API seems like it's impending, but we don't have that. And spectator mode obviously is something the biggest thing we're all waiting on, because that's going to make more difference in terms of TFT Esports broadcasts than any other thing they could ever do. We need it. We need it months ago. So hopefully that'll be there soon. Dan, what, you look like you want to say something. What's up?
Well, I was just kind of noticing that you know, Kiyun rated us, so shout out to Kiyun.
Oh, hey, what's up?
See him dominate set 4, so
thanks, Kiyun.
welcome to the Boom audience there. You know, they announced a world championship also, you know, like a set 4 world championship, but they didn't announce like a set 5 world championship, so it's kind of interesting. Like right now they're just saying like the next one, there's gonna be competitive, right? It's just that we don't know when that's gonna be. It's like early spring 2021. Does that mean like, you know, March, or does that mean like the very last possible day in like June or something?
Well, if it's going to be
no one
6
really knows.
months,
Yeah,
because they said about 6 months. So what would that make it? What's 6 months from now? I guess it'd be the end of March, right?
Right, because then it's 2 sets a year, and then it's like, you know, theoretically like just 6 months from this cadence. So in March, if it's September.
That makes sense.
But yeah, like all this stuff is great, and it's just like, you know, we worry that the TFT team's going to get burnt out if anything, right? Like there's only so much, you know, that I feel like Mort can handle sometimes before he just needs to cool off, even from people that he normally talks about TFT. And so like I kind of hope that they can get more support so they can finally get these really cool features like spectate mode and tournament APIs, etc. Because all these things are really exciting. We just don't know when. So it's just like, well, eventually is the answer.
Well, we had Giovanni on the set 4 preview, who seemed like he was kind of the main person in terms of designing set 4. So it seems like they're starting to do a little bit of that, where they're sort of delegating who's doing, you know, the bulk of the creation for this, it seems like. And I'm just making guesses here. If Mort's in chat, he can correct me. But that may be what you're talking about, Dan, where if it's not the same person, if it's not, you know, Mort himself designing every champion, every ability for every set, you know, they can probably you know, make some time for putting other modes in there, I suppose. But new modes, I really wonder what this is going to be. I'm very curious. I would guess that it has to be something to do with multiplayer. But what do you guys think? Souless, what new mode would you like to see come out in TFT? Like, what's your vision for that?
I'm pretty sure it's going to be a team mode.
That's the most logical choice. But how would you implement that? What would your team mode look like?
You queue up with your duo, and then basically you share items, share gold maybe, and then maybe you can funnel each other, or like you can exchange item, and basically you have like 1 gen health bar, and then basically it's the same matchup, but like you never face each other, and then you can just exchange item if you want, you know, or maybe it can be like Galaxy coming back, where does that have like a random RNG mechanic? Like the game have an RNG mechanic?
Would
like,
you prefer 2v2v2 or like 4v4? Which one do you think is better?
I feel like 2v2v2 is better, but 4v4 sounds fun too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just easier to get like a group of 2 than a group of 4, I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's asking for a lot of people to have more than one friend that wants to play with them, you know. And
that's true. Yeah.
Yeah. But 4v4 it is pretty cool. We've seen some 4v4 tournaments. I think we even had one very recently, which was pretty cool.
Well, Mortdog Madness ended with 4v4. So I think that's I'm thinking of the EU team thing, EU versus NA. Yeah. There's so many tournaments this year. I was telling Souless before this broadcast, like we've done so many tournaments that it's all starting to just like flow together into one great morass of Teamfight Tactics. It's we did have that.
It is important to like have game like people. I think that people who watch this podcast in particular are like very concentrated on like the competitive aspect of TFT, and rightfully so, because that's like really exciting for all of us.
Right.
But you know, for like the overall health of the game, you really need to make sure that it's also appealing to people who don't play TFT, and like, you know, it's really hard. Like even just changing sets is a big risk because of how much the aesthetic changes and people aren't familiar with it. I can't tell you how many times people have said like, I love TFT, I just don't want to relearn the game every like few months. They want to be able to like play it for a little bit, put it down, and then come back to it. And it's like every time they do, it's like really different.
Yeah, that's why I think
really?
6 months is a good time frame, because it gives you enough time to really get into it and hopefully get invested enough that you'll stick around, you know, once the set changes. I suppose the nice thing is that a new set is a chance for people to get into it fresh too, if they aren't familiar with the game.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Totally.
Soulless, you're pretty good at
Mhm.
TFT. How do
Uh-huh.
you get your how do you approach getting your friends to try TFT? Like give me your TFT pitch. Like if I was your friend and I wasn't so sure about TFT, like what would you say to make me want to play it?
Oh, so you're hard stuck in League? You want a higher rank to show off in the League client? TFT is the game for you.
Oh
After
yeah.
1 week of playing, or me coaching you, you will hit master 100%.
Wow.
And then you can flex that into your League normal game when you queue up. That's like the reason I started playing League, actually. I'm playing TFT. Because
To improve
in
your
League,
quarter.
I couldn't keep Challenger rank because I had flexing Challenger like for like 2 weeks, but like I keep decaying. So I'm like, fuck it, pivot. And then I started playing TFT in the summer, and then the game just felt like it was the game for me, you know? I climbed so much easier, and then the LP games is way better than League, where you get like 13 LP per win and then 26 per loss. And basically you just climb rank very fast. So that's how I would sell TFT to my friend.
Get those big LP gains.
Yep.
There's
That's
also
actually
less
perfect.
RNG in TFT in terms of matchmaking than there is
That is
for
actually
League of
very
Legends,
true
'cause you
too.
don't have
Yeah.
to worry about the teammates that you're paired with.
Your fate is in your own hands in Teamfight
Yeah.
Tactics, at least. Yeah. Which which I would say is a great transition to go into Fates, which is the name of the next set. Yeah, don't question me. This is what I do. TFT Fates. Let's take a look at the origins and the champions. Because like you mentioned, Dan, a lot of the people watching are much more familiar with TFT on the competitive side. They're much more hardcore than your average gamer, I would say, most likely. But we should still go over the basics of what the set is, because not everybody's playing the PB, and so we should pretty much just kind of go through it. And so I think the way we had, I don't know if we were planning going through every single origin, just being like, this is what it does. But should we actually just look at different comps and talk about how the origins and the classes work together in those comps? Or do you want to just go through it like this? What do you want to do, Dan? I'll leave it up to you.
Let's talk about Souless and see what really interests Souless in terms of walking.
All right. What do you want to do, Soul?
Oh, we can just go over the synergy and can talk how
Okay.
they, yeah, how good would they fit in meta. You know?
All right.
Against each other synergy. Yeah.
So which one would you like to talk about first from the origins?
Fortune. I feel like Fortune is a very high risk, high reward synergy.
Yeah.
Me personally, I'll try limit testing Fortune like many games, and it didn't work well for me, so I decided to never play that comp again.
But is it really a Fortune comp? I feel like it's got to be like a transitionary thing. Like you play Fortune into something else, right?
Yes. You play Fortune, and then you win one round, and then you're supposed to like pivot into like a full legendary comp or like some super strong unbeatable comp with those items.
Yeah.
But I feel like the hardest part about Fortune is keeping your loss streak. Anyone can like ruin your loss streak anytime. Let's say one guy decide to open for it, and then your 3 loss streak just ended there. But like you need to hit like 7 to 9 loss streak spike, and after those loss streak, you have to win a round. The hardest part is winning a round with 6 Fortune, because 3 is not enough. I tried like 14 loss streak with 3 Fortune. It only gave me 72 gold, so I just FF. Because then at that point, I had like no item. But I know like 6 Fortune will give you like 5 C clip. And then, yeah. basically the comp is very high risk, high reward, but it's too risky to be meta.
So I know on the PBE patch notes today, actually, I think they improved the rewards for 3 fortunes. So might have to try it again. I've been approaching it sort of as a like space pirate alternative, kind of, where I'll run like 3 fortune and a bunch of other stuff throughout like the early and mid game sometimes. And if I win, you know, you usually get like at least 2 gold, 2, 3 gold, which is about your average space pirate, 2 space pirate round, right? And then if you lose for a couple rounds and then win, then you get that better reward. So that's how I've kind of been thinking about it, is just sort of like an alternative space pirate kind of thing for the set.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think if you want to play Fortune, Fortune, for people who don't know, is a 3-6 trait where if you have 3 or 6 of them, every battle you win, you get a treasure chest, and then win that treasure chest, it can actually contain anything. It can contain gold, champions, or even items. But the more you lose, the more rare stuff you get. Rare, of course,
Right.
implying that you get like more gold or you get really cool items. I think the most important unit here is Katarina. Katarina seems to be like one of the more defining mid-game champions that you really want to build around, largely because she's also triple traded. And in TFT, we found that champions that usually have 3 traits tend to at least have a place somewhere, even if it's just a transitionary unit. So
Yeah, I agree.
Katarina kind of went through like a few different builds where you like played like Gunblade or Hand of Justice or just stack her with a bunch of different stuff and give her QSS. And then when you like go to the back line, she ends up destroying stuff. And so when you find 2-star Katarina, that's when you're like, okay, I'm going to win with Fortune. But like you can also transition to like a Warlord build, which is like kind of in between because she has those triple traits as a Warlord, Assassin, and Fortune. So I think like there's something kind of what you're talking about, Doa. Like maybe you play like Fortune early and you transition to 6 Warlord as fast as you can. But it's definitely really fun to play. And like most players are like, oh, I'm gonna like one trick Fortune and just like open for it all the way to Masters or whatever. I think it's kind of a meme. Like right now, it doesn't seem consistent enough. Kind of what Souls is saying.
Yeah, I think you can run a lot of different like early fortune stuff. Like I've been running like brawlers, right, where you have Tom Kench as a fortune champion, and then you've got like any other brawler really, and then you put in like Annie, and you know, if you find an early Jinx or something like that, sometimes too. I like Annie a lot, honestly, where she's tanky enough that at 2 stars especially, if you lose rounds, you're not going to be losing that hard, and then you're going to be able to, you know, ideally win around a little bit easier later on and then transition out of the fortune kind of stuff. So yeah, I've been transitioning into like a ton of different comps out of it, and I've been doing 3 fortune in a lot of different ways too. So it's one of the most interesting traits, I think, because it seems extremely flexible in terms of like how you use it and how you transition in and out of it. So very cool. But let's move on to the next one. Let's take a look at the origins again and pick another one to talk about. I don't know if we're going to be able to go through all of these, but I think it'd be fun to talk about Cultist, actually. Cultist is kind of like, if you like the mech, as in you liked having a huge like thing stomping around the battlefield, AoEing people, this is the origin for you, where the more cultists you have in 3, 6, and 9, the bigger the Galio that slams in when your team hits 40% HP or lower. The champions themselves, it seems like it's a little bit of a struggle to include the correct side synergies with these, but Galio is so good that sometimes it doesn't really matter that much, especially if you get to like 9 cultists. But Souless, have you had a chance to play many cultist games yet?
I've tried one, but I've watched many people do it. I think it's
Yeah.
one of like the hardest bait in the game, where once you hit a chosen cultist, you will not sell that chosen cultist because you want to go 9 cultists, right? So your
Yeah.
chosen cultist will be like very mid game, early game kind of
Mhm.
champion, most likely Elise, TF, or Pike. So whenever you try to transition out like 9 cultists, it feels really hard because like how you're supposed to pivot your comp. Because your
Yeah.
comp is just 9 cultists. It's the strongest. 6 cultists, it's not as good. And I feel like the comp is very weak because they have like no synergy. I feel like you need Spat to make it work, or like a Fawn Galaxy. But Galio can just get
Galaxy.
Galio
Fawn
can just get
Galaxy.
like one-shotted by Set or
Mhm.
like executed by Lee Sin Kick. Galio is not that
annoys
good.
me so
He's
much.
not immune to CC either, so
Well, I think you're
yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
right. Like early cultists seemed okay, and like 9 cultists seemed okay, but 6 cultists seemed like a little bit lackluster in the mid game. They actually did buff the 6 Cultist Galio specifically on the PBE today. And I haven't had a chance to try it out yet, but I think it'll fill in kind of that gap that we're all talking about, whereas the 6 Cultist feels a bit awkward because the synergies aren't great, and Galio himself is not great. But what were you going to say, Frodan?
It makes me mad. I'm pissed when Lee Sin just walks over and kicks my Galio off the map. You spend like
love
the
it.
entire game,
It's great.
you hit like the chosen fate, and it's chosen. So like Mort Dog is personally sitting on your shoulder telling you to pick this.
He has
and it's
chosen
like
it for
Cultist, you like spend the entire game building up this momentum. You're leveling up to 8. For some reason, you couldn't find like that one last Cultist, whether it's like Zillion or for some reason you didn't pick up TF along the way. You finally hit it. And this random dude who's just like, oh, Lee Sin's cool. I haven't seen him in TFT yet. He plays him and he just kicked him off the map. And it's like a level 9 Galio that you worked so hard to build for. And it's like, that sucks, dude. I'm so mad that happened to me yesterday when I was playing PvE, and
It sounds very personal.
quit.
Yeah.
I surrendered and I quit.
Wow. I'm sorry that you went through that, Frodan.
Pain.
It's like it feels so silly that like one unit can do that to it. I get what it is though. It's like it's very flavorful, and the Lee Sin
Sure.
cake is actually pretty epic. But like Galio, it's everything that you're building up for, and it feels like such a cheese, man.
I'm surprised that happened because like if Galio's not on the edge, he needs to get kicked to the edge first and then get kicked off. So where did Galio like slam in that he got kicked off the board like that? That seems unlikely. I'm not saying, I mean, I believe you that it happened, but it seems like it's rare that would happen.
Is there like consistency where Galio lands? It feels kind of random sometimes. I'm not sure.
Oh,
if
yeah. He
feel
lands
like
on an area with the most unit.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
most of the time you're backline because they never move.
Yeah.
So it's not 100%. It's definitely not in your control as the Cultist player where Galio slams in. But yeah, so I guess that's actually really good. I hadn't thought about that. So if you are playing against a 9 Cultist player in its late game, it's probably good to group up near the edge if you're playing Lee Sin, because then you ideally put him in a punting position.
The thing is, Galio, the level 9 Galio, have a taunt. So once he goes to the backline, he's gonna taunt the Lee Sin into the backline, and then that's where Lee Sin kicks the Galio.
It's true.
Yeah.
Huh. Wow. Well, I mean, it sounds very traumatic. I haven't been through it personally, but you know,
the level 1 Lee Sin tries to kick my Galio. His foot should break off. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm done being upset about this.
You know, Lee Sin in the lore. I don't know about the old lore, but in the I don't know if there's like new Lee Sin lore, but in the old lore, he like accidentally killed his whole village seeking power and stuff. So Lee Sin's not a great guy. Yeah, just so you know. All right, well that's Cultist, ladies and gentlemen. It's a fun comp, definitely worth playing. There's so much else to talk about. Let's see. How about we go? This will be an interesting one. This one's a little bit controversial, I think, right now. Because how about Elderwood, right? Because the Elderwood build of choice at the moment is Veigar 3 with items, and so this leads us to we'll talk about Elderwood a little bit. So basically, what it does is it gives you incremental stat buffs for your Elderwood champions. It stacks up to a certain amount. And that's where it sits, right? But this also leads us into the conversation of rerolls right now in PvE and 3-star units and all that kind of stuff first. But before we get into that conversation, Souless, what do you think about the Elderwood?
I think this is my favorite, probably my second favorite comp in the game, just because I feel like it's the strongest out of all the comp, and it's not even close.
It seems consistent.
You don't even need to go Veigar. You can just go Aphelios Elderwood, and that champion is not balanced.
Aphelios?
You
can Elderwood?
Yeah, you can force Chosen with this comp because you reroll a 6 for either Silas Chosen Moonlight or Aphelios Chosen Moonlight Hunter, and basically once you hit them 3-star, Aphelios become 4-star with infinite stat.
Yeah,
and he just does too much damage and he's unkillable. Yep.
What's the best in slot items for Aphelios from your perspective?
Elderwood, Guinsu, and then third item can be Shojin or GA.
You don't like the
All
ship?
right. Yeah.
Oh no, I don't like the ship though.
Well, I've been seeing a
crying
little
in
bit
chat.
of that. Anything anything attack speed related seems to work pretty well.
The reason why Shiv is so bad because Mystic's so easy to fit, and you need to force like a spark to make Shiv good. But yeah,
That's true.
True. Yeah. Well, Elderwood. So you would go? Would you pick the Aphelios build, or would you go for the Veigar build instead?
the reason I pick a Aphelios build because it spiked earlier. The Veigar build spiked way later, and you tank too much. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. We should caveat all of this as well with the fact that the PBE is getting patched literally every day. So what we talk about being strong on this show may actually not be strong at all tomorrow. Things are developing rapidly. We'll put it this way. Day one of the beta, I was destroying everybody every game with RE2 because she just was basically like Gangplank 3 on day one. But now she's more normal, and Veigar has taken the mage crown as far as damage goes.
With this comp, I've been testing it since like day 1, day 2. And I tested every patch, and I was just thinking like, I thought this comp would nerf, and then no, the comp is just still very strong.
It's Morton Chat says tomorrow that Aphelios will cost 6. So there you go.
The thing is,
it's official. I guess it's official. Yeah.
My chat told me Aphelios was bugged, so I was handicapping myself the entire time. His turret apparently only have level 1 turret 80 damage, not level 3.
Oh really?
So when you reroll for Aphelios, and you feel like his turret is not doing that much damage, he's supposed to do way more.
Oh, well, that's kind of scary. All right.
Yeah, it's kind of scary because I've won like every game with Aphelios.
I've won some games with that too. It seems strong already, but all right. I mean, and of course, like that's one of the fun things about the PBE. I think is bugs that pop up. We had a little bit of like I think there was a Hextech Gunblade bug where like Veigar was getting too many shields, and then of course we had the Spirit Cultist bug that jerks were abusing on the ladder when I was trying to play, and getting like insane attack speed, Zed, and all that kind of stuff. But let's move on. That's our treatise on Elderwood. But I guess we also did want to mention the conversation about 3 costs, or not 3 costs, about 3-star units, and how with the changes to the shop, where currently in PBE, if you don't buy a champion from your shop and you re-roll, you will not get it in the immediate shop after all, which in theory and seems in function to make it a little bit easier to hit those 3 stars. It kind of feels like a little bit in periods of time in set 3 where a lot of comps were based around hitting the 3 stars. What's your thought on 3 stars Soulless? Should it be a part of the game that some comps just kind of require that? Would you rather see it be really rare? Like, what do you think is like the place that 3-star champion should be in the meta?
I feel like 3-star is very balanced, but like that's because legendary are very strong this set. Enough like if you fast 8, you will outscale the 3-star or like player who don't hit the 3-star. But I feel like some comp you just need 3-star to work because some comp are just not viable without hitting 3-star unit because they don't need that much synergy like those extra unit. They just need like the unit to be stronger, survive longer, like Aphelios for example. Yeah.
Yeah, we should chat about Moonlight a little bit since that's kind of what Souless is kind of hinting at as part of what makes it a 4-star unit. Like that's the first time we've seen this in TFT where Aphelios goes Super Saiyan Blue and just kind of ascends to be a Super Saiyan beyond a Super Saiyan. And it's pretty impressive. Like when he gets his turrets going, and he starts casting it. And it's kind of like what Souless says. If you play a Moonlight composition, it's supposed to upgrade your weakest Moonlight. But if you only have 2 of them because one of them's chosen for the Moonlight trait, then you only have to play 2. And that's not actually a really high commit. So the comp that we have like right here, it's just like an example of like what you could do. There's like so many different ways you can go about it. But the most commonly successful Moonlight comps I see is actually with only 2 of them. So you only have to 3-star both of them instead of like 3. And then you hold on to a 4th unit because you're not sure, like if you have Lissandra or you have Diana. I don't think those comps are particularly reliable. So it's a pretty interesting thing to like observe. If you happen to find a chosen Moonlight early, that's definitely something to consider.
Yeah, well, I really like Moonlight because if for those of you who aren't familiar, this is very similar to a trait that existed in Dota Underlords back when that game came out. The Druid trait did the same thing roughly, where your lowest star champion would be upgraded one star. But I really love what they did in Fates with this, where they took that concept, which is good, and then they took it one step farther, where you can target who gets the upgrade in cases of a ties by putting items on them. And that didn't exist in Underlords. And then also the 4-star thing, which did not exist. So I like that they took what was a really cool concept and kind of took it to the next step, right? Where it's like now it's more skill rewarding, right? Because you can funnel who's going to get the upgrade. And then it's also the 4 stars, just fun, right? So it's neat. I like that. Yeah. Let's talk about something else. Let's talk about a comp that I've been playing a lot of right now. Yeah, you should have named it Underlord. That's true. Just talking to more in chat. But anyway, those of you on the VOD, like this all just seems confusing to you. But let's talk about sharpshooters, all right? Because like Dan knows, I've been doing nothing but talking about sharpshooters since PvE launched, because I did not like this this trait when I first started out. It seemed weak to me, and then when something seems weak to me in TFT, that makes me want to play it more. And so I did, and now I'm a sharpshooter master. And I think that this trait is actually really, really good. And it works a lot like Vanguard snipers in terms of who you itemize. Jin Timo is really popular right now. Jinx got a buff today, though, so I need to experiment with making a Hurricane carry. But there's a lot of neat synergies you can use. There's a lot of different front lines you can use. This is kind of the comp that I've been using to win games on the PvE. And it's performed well on the ladder and in pro lobbies that I've been in as well. So I'm pretty pleased with it. Have you had a chance to use sharpshooters that much yet, Souless?
I've tried some sharpshooter comp, but it's not this variant. I use Warlords because I feel like Warlord have like a lot pivot compared to this comp.
Sure.
Yeah, because late game, Warlord champ have really good synergy, unlike Cultists, and basically you can like pivot any unit, any carries, anytime.
Yeah.
And use sharpshooter as like a win streak.
Yeah, that's the neat thing about it, is that you can build it. Like, this is just one example of what was working, but I've been building it a lot of different ways besides this too, where like you're saying, Warlords can work really well, where you can choose to take Nidalee as one of your sharpshooters and build around that. Fortune in the early game is fine to pair with sharpshooters because you've got Jinx being a Fortune, and you've also got Sejuani later, so you can kind of work that in a little bit. Cultist as well. If you go for Aatrox for your tank, then you can throw in Zillion, and then who's the other cultist? Jin, right? So you can get that, even though it's obviously 3 cultists late game isn't great, but it's a little bit extra CC, so sometimes it's kind of nice. But you can pair Duskin really easy, but you can also just go with a completely different front line. You don't even need to use Vanguards. I've been having success today with Shen front line and using things like going up to 4 Mystic and Adept to give the sharpshooters time to do what they want. So I think it's like you're saying, Souless, where it's just like a cool trait that you can build into a lot of different things right now that is also strong because all the champions that use it have strong abilities. You know, the blind from Teemo, the stun from Jinx, just the straight up damage from Jin. So it's neat. I love sharpshooters right now.
Also, I want to mention like one major weakness of this comp is it's not meta right now, but Aatrox hard counter sharpshooter.
We have to position really well around it. Yeah.
He pulls the furthest unit.
Yeah.
And basically if he casts
positioning, he's positioning around Blitzcrank and Aatrox.
Yeah, but like, if he casts twice, your sharpshooter will always get pulled.
Yeah, that's true. And, you can avoid the first one, but the second one will get you.
Yeah. Full Vanguard may not be meta right now, but I feel like it'll become meta eventually because it's a really strong trait and it's really easy to fit. And all the units in Full Vanguard is so good. People just don't realize it yet.
Except for Wukong, right?
No. Wukong is very good because you can reroll.
For Vanguard, just
you want to reroll for Vanguard?
Yeah, I have a reroll Wukong comp that's pretty spicy.
What?
Ooh. Yeah. You know, Wukong does slap when you get him up to like 3 stars. Yeah, no joke. I've seen someone run that, and it wrecked me, and I was scared and surprised.
I think Wukong's a little underrated as well. Just in terms of like his early game performance, he definitely doesn't feel nearly as strong as like Garen or some of these other really good Vanguards. Hecarim's also pretty powerful, but yeah, I think Souless might be right. Like in general, I think people are undervaluing frontline like they usually do. That's actually like one of the biggest mistakes that I think like intermediate level TFT players want to level up is like you don't value your frontline enough. And I think that's a really good point from Souless.
Well, it's happening so much on the. Oh, go ahead.
If you want to check out the reroll Wukong game, it's on my YouTube.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Shout out.
What
Just YouTube.
You have a YouTube channel
Souless?
link.
TSM Souless.
TSM Soul.
TSM Souless.
All
Well, I
right.
guess you can't ever
Yeah.
leave TSM then.
That's true.
Wait, what? I
Wait.
went to youtube.com/TSM Souless. It led me to a 404 page.
Oh, wait, what's my YouTube?
Oh, did you get banned?
Monka W.
But no, you're right. Like, and I think the thing is, I think like the lack of attention paid to frontline right now is also due to people wanting to just like play around with all the carries, and so people just aren't thinking about their frontline as much. That's why like PBE ladder games are kind of like results are like, yeah, whatever. It was a PBE ladder game. Everyone's just messing around. But I think a lot of good stuff is coming out of the a lot of the pickup groups with the pros and things like that, where you do not ignore that front line.
No,
But,
it's just like Summoner's Rift, DoA, where like everyone concentrates on the carry and everyone doesn't pay attention enough to what the frontliners or the supports are doing.
True.
It's really, really important to have a good front line, which is why I like what Souless is saying.
Yeah. Well, Frodan, what do you want to talk about next? What origin or trait?
Time like
Yeah,
left,
that's
just 'cause we don't
we
wanna,
should
like,
probably
make it
move
go
out.
too far away.
Yeah.
There's a duelist build that I
So
think
much
is
to
pretty
talk
interesting
about.
that capitalizes on Divine.
Mhm.
And if you really enjoy Yasuo, which apparently like every player base in League of Legends values enough that Riot wants to put Yasuo in every single set until the end of time.
He's a popular dude.
Yasuo reroll. It's a Yasuo reroll composition right now featuring Yasuo as a 3-star unit and focusing on duelists. This one's a little it's kind of like an experimental build I think people were trying out. The idea is that Yasuo gets really powerful. You just stack a bunch of good stuff on him, whether it's like Guardian Angel, Hand of Justice. Some people are playing like Infinity Edge on him. You can totally do whatever you want. And then Yone is like a top end that you really add. And they just play a bunch of Divine and Duelist stuff in the mid game and transition until you get to that level 8. It ended up being pretty consistent in terms of like its power level spike. If you land it, it's really good. The hardest part is actually finding the 3 stars a lot of times, and also just because it feels like everyone has a Yasuo. But I think that the most important thing if you're going to try to play this build is actually getting a chosen duelist, so that way you can get that 6 spike consistently. And a lot of times you want your chosen duelist obviously to be Yasuo.
I'm surprised you're advocating a comp with Lee Sin in it after the rant earlier in the show.
I don't have a problem with Lee Sin. I just don't want him to be kicking my Galio off the board after you invest your entire game into it. That's like I want my 30 minutes back.
All right, so you just want to be able to ban Lee Sin in your Galio games.
Just
Reasonable.
that interaction specifically. I don't know how hard it is to code that, but
make Galio
I thought it was a
unpuntable.
bug at first. I was just like,
anyone can be punted. Anyone can be punched off the
don't
map.
get me started. I was so upset.
All right. Well, we probably should move on. Like, we have only barely scratched the surface about like origins, classes, traits, all that fun stuff in set 4. I encourage everybody to sign up for the PBE and go play it. The data is nice for them, I'm sure, but it's also just a ton of fun. And so we'll move on to some questions here for Souless. We've got our mailbag. Familiar face rate. It says, how did Oicon Discord start?
Oh, that's Zero Econ.
Okay.
So at first, when I reached rank 1, I wanted like people to like talk to about like meta and stuff. And then at the time, it was really, really hard to gain LP. And we usually like trio queue to gain LP because we took like the highest LP player possible, put them in the lobby together, and we just queue up together so we can climb rank faster, you know? And it would start off as like a league club. So my playstyle at the time was I don't care about money. I just spent all my money upgrading my unit. I hold units on bench. And basically we always have like Zero Econ and hence the name. Yeah. And basically I had like a Discord where we purge people weekly for them being too low rank to be in the club. Because like we just purge people like every week if they don't have like a certain requirement, you know? And
wow,
it actually like motivate player to climb, and weekly they get promoted. It's like challenger cutoff, but it's like a club, you know.
It's tough love. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
You're just tearing them down so that you can build them back up again.
Yeah,
that's good of you. All right, let's move on to the next question here. How do you come up with all of your Smurf names from Plan?
Oh, I don't know. It just comes like at a time when I'm making an account. You know,
Hmm.
like WinTrade account was like I keep seeing WinTrader in my lobby, so I make a Smurf called WinTrade account, and then the Boca Slayer account. People keep calling everyone Boca, like Soju, Chrome, Kiyun, and then I made an account called Boca Slayer, and then this is Slayer of the Ladder, you know, and
Spontaneous
yeah,
inspiration.
I think it's brilliant. I think it's
Yeah.
brilliant. Let's I might have accidentally skipped this earlier, so we can go back. Let's do the thing, and let's have you complete the fine tradition we have here on Teamfight Talk Show to do a top 10 NA tier list. And I think maybe we can not do tournament players this week. Let's just do NA players in general. And or here's, I'll give you the choice, Souless. We can either just make it a top 10 NA tier list, or if you'd like, you can get extra spicy and say who are your top 10 set for PBE players.
Oh, I can't judge PvP players yet because the meta is not balanced out. So top 10 players NA is fine.
All right, let's hear it. Who's number one?
I feel like I know people for a very long time. I know them at their prime and at their worst. So I'm gonna do it like at their prime, you know? Like if they try very hard.
Okay.
So number one.
So it's all stars basically.
Yeah.
All right.
Number one, Souless.
Souless.
Yep.
All right. Okay. Number one. So why would you put yourself at number one?
No ego, but I feel like I haven't tried my best, and that's why like I'm not that high up on the ladder. But like every set, I feel like I'm the fastest to get to master and stuff, just because I try very hard. But then after that, I just don't care that much anymore. So yeah, I just tend to get burned out because I play a lot, you know.
Are you gonna get masters first on set 4 also? You did in set 3, right?
Yeah. And then even like the tournament in set 3, like in the beginning, I was like smurfing like every tournament, but then eventually I got burned out, I guess. And then I just keep falling out. But number 2 would be Milk.
Okay.
I think we can all agree with Milk. He's a Omega Sweat.
Good
I think it was I think he was just born a sweat because he's just good at everything. And then
Milk's been sweating his YouTube videos as well.
Yeah.
He's been putting a lot of effort in them. They're great.
Yep. And then number 3 would be GV8, because here's the thing about GV8. He is so flexible and you would never know what comp he's gonna play, so you can't prepare for him. He's very unexpected. And he's overall a very good player.
All right.
Number 4 would be Soju.
Yeah.
Because,
whoa, you made a list. Wait, what? Doesn't Soju just like barely never make the list?
Oh,
this is not tournament. This is not tournament. This is a top 10 player. I've known Soju for a very long time. I found Soju because at the time, you know how Soju is always hard stack, not rank 1. So when I found him, he was like rank 2 or 4, and then I started watching his stream like, whoa, this player is kind of good, like better than all the streamer I was watching at the time. And then I kept watching Soju, and then eventually like he got signed, and then we become friends and stuff like that. We became friends before he got signed, but like overall, I watch him a lot, and I know he's a good player, and I feel like he's actually like top 4 NA, maybe even higher. But
that's a beautiful story.
Yeah.
Would you do you take credit for some of his success? You said you found him. Do you feel like you discovered him?
You discovered?
No, he was gonna be discovered eventually because he one of the few streamer who like started out with face cam, and then he's a very good player, very entertaining to watch. Yeah. And number 5, Kurum. It's I think it's Kurum because he's one of the few players I know who try their hardest. And I feel like when you always try your hardest, you always have room to improve, you know? And Kurum will always get better as time goes by. He have a lot of potential too.
Okay.
And yeah. Number 6 will be Socks. The reason why Socks not that high anymore is because I was watching him play at Worlds, and I feel like he was getting nervous, and he kind of choked a bit. But yeah, a thing about playing like being a good player is that you have to be very consistent. I feel like if Sock overcome that tournament anxiety, he'll be very, very good.
Oh, he just called Socks a choker.
I can't believe it. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen.
No flame though. But like he is a very good player. But like in the tournament, I feel like he wasn't at his peak. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
He was very nervous. Yeah.
But then what makes Soju a player that also gets a reputation for not performing as well on tournament as he does on ladder?
The thing about
ranked higher than Sox.
Oh, the thing about Soju is Soju is very experienced with tournament, so I don't know why he's so bad every time when it comes to tournament. I don't feel like he's not choking. It's just that he get very unlucky. You know, maybe.
Oh,
okay, that's
so
true.
Yeah.
Sox,
We've seen that.
Sox chokes, but Soju gets unlucky.
Yeah, or he just like it's his brand, you know. Tournament Soju KW. He's just a for fun streamer, you know.
Okay.
Got it.
Yeah.
And
More for
this
fun
is like
players
the
at Worlds
peak,
next
right?
year.
So peak Sox is
Peak
60.
Sock
Okay.
would be number 2 in my list.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So I'll be
So
above
there-
Mill and GBA. Yeah.
There are universes, there are different timelines where this list would be different.
Yeah.
I see. Okay.
And then number 7 would be Aegon.
All right.
The thing about Aegon is like he's a really good player, but he would be way up higher if he have a better mental. The thing about Aegon is
Ooh.
his mental
Hmm.
booms like very fast. You know?
Okay.
I agree. I love Aegon.
Yeah. I love
Jeez,
Aegon,
watching him
but like,
forfeit in tournaments.
he's
It's
forfeit.
sad, man.
And
He
then
just,
when he-
like, goes minus 99 next to Aegon's name, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, here we
Yeah.
go.
Yeah,
It does feel bad.
feels bad. And then below Aegon, number 8 would be Kiyun. The thing about Kiyun is I don't know. I feel like he's a really good player, but he's too for fun. You know?
Mm.
How is he too for fun? What makes his playstyle for fun to you?
Like he knows that he make like let's say you know Junzi in the tournament final?
Yeah.
He
yeah.
go 1-1-1, he could just like go 1-1 again, but no, he plays Space Pirate for fun.
He did. He
Like,
super trolled those games.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he super troll. That's something Kiyun would do. But like after 1 win, you know, not 3.
So not when he had secured the spot in the finals.
Yeah,
He'd just be
yeah.
like, one game, it's time to play for fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see.
And on the ladder, he'll be much higher rank if he don't play Space Pirate again. But yeah, he's too for fun. Else he'll be much higher.
Do you think that but peak Kiyun was when he won the tournament, like destroying the Chinese? It was like NA versus CN, right?
Yeah.
That's peak Kiyun. So you know, if we're judging the tier list, is this fair to put Kiyun at 8?
The thing about Kiyun is he's not flexible either, like GA. So there's certain games where he can get
Wow.
punished by luck, and then just low roll into an 8. You know?
So
Got it.
let's just be
Kiyun at
clear.
8 for the
According to Souless, Kiyun is a for fun player that only knows one comp.
Oh no one
Is
comp.
that
He
what you're
knows,
saying? It's
he knows a few comp, but not
that's the
enough.
impression I was getting. Oh, okay. That's all right.
No, he's flexible. He tried to be flexible, but eventually he's just gonna, you know, tunnel a come again.
Okay.
We don't know Kiyun. He's just gonna tunnel and come again.
Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Not trying to put words in your mouth. This is just the impression I was getting from what you were saying.
Also, number 9 would be Saint. So the thing about Saint is I also found him like when I was like sweating TFT in set 1. I watched like every other stream and I'm like, wait, these players are not that good. Why am I watching them? And when I started watching Saint, whoa, this guy know how to play, you know?
Yeah, he's good.
And then
I like
yeah,
Saint.
and then he's been good like every set too. And I think he's a very consistent player. I feel like Saint deserves to be in this list, you know. And number 10. This is where I was struggling. Who to put?
Wow.
The last one. Who
Yeah,
won't
last
make the
choice.
cut, you know?
Who's not going to make it in? Yeah.
So the reason why I don't put Keen is Keen will be higher up on the list, but like he counts as OCE, so it can be Keen. So I think it's Poe, just because.
All right.
Yeah, he is very experienced in tournament, and I feel like he would never get tournament anxiety, maybe. And I feel like he'll be consistent player, in like most of the time, because you know set 1, set 2, set
He's
3.
kind of struggled in tournaments though. I
He
feel
kind of
like.
struggle, yeah, but like
Yeah.
I feel like his play style is what's holding him back, not his anxiety.
I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Because
Paul
his
does
playstyle
the roast
doesn't fit like everyone.
This
Yeah.
guy's a international StarCraft champion. You got to have your nerves somewhat under control. This
Yeah,
guy.
I don't think. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I don't think it's nerves. If it's anything, it's definitely not nerves. Like for those of, I'm sure most of you in chat know, but for those of you who don't, Polt is like one of the all-time best StarCraft 2 players in the earlier years of StarCraft 2. He like dominated for a while. He was super super good. So, and that's unlike, we're talking like in matches on huge stages in front of thousands of people. Like Polt was winning games in StarCraft 2. So. Yeah, I don't think the tournament jitters get him in some TFT online matches, but I do agree that with Souless that his style is pretty high risk. And I wonder, I really can't wait to see him play set 4. Actually, I know he's streaming today, but I didn't get to watch. But set 4 will be very interesting for Paul. That'll be cool. So I think that's going to do it for the tier list. Thank you, Souless, for creating that completely non-controversial, very run-of-the-mill, nothing to really, talk about with that one. I'm sure everyone was fine with it. Yeah. But I think that's going to pretty much do it for the show. So thank you so much for coming on Teamfight Talk Show, Souless. Any final thoughts you'd like to leave us with before we end the show?
Thank you for having me. Final thoughts. There's the tournament for set 4 coming up, the EU versus NA tournament. If you're just wondering like who would be like the upcoming set 4 players, you should tune in. I think it's on like the 12th. Yeah, it's on the 12th. It's gonna feature like top NA player versus top EU player, and they're all sweats. So yeah, make sure to come and check it out. Yeah. Who do you think's gonna win?
I don't know. I don't even know who's playing in that yet. I haven't looked at the playlist. Yeah, who do you think is gonna win?
NA.
Anyone in particular from NA?
Me.
Oh, all right.
Trust.
Cool. Sticking with the list. That's good. I appreciate that. All right,
no
Frodan,
ego.
final thoughts before we close things out.
Can't just say no ego, no flame, and then proceed to
hey,
ego.
It's not ego, it's confidence. I appreciate that.
I like it, and I am cheering for Souless. I want him to do well because it is fun to see Souless win tournaments and then come on and say exactly this in interviews.
Yeah.
I kind of wish we had more time to go over a lot of what's happening, but the meta is going to continue to evolve, especially as PP gets patched. So definitely check it out. And of course, they're still doing content here at GiantSlayer with fight nights and stuff, so definitely check them out. And even though DoA and I don't cast, I think like Cast Nova and Crowan mainly hold the fort down there. It's been really fun, so shout out to them. And again, it can't be stated enough, without GiantSlayerTV, TFT competitive in the West really has already died several times over. So I appreciate everything that they've done.
Yep, absolutely, man. TFT Esports would not be what it is. No bias because we're on their channel, but like, GiantSlayer, definitely big, making the show. It's been great. Thanks for watching, everybody. Thanks to Souless for coming on the show. Definitely check out Fight Night tomorrow night on GiantSlayerTV. It's a good way to get your TFT fix and to see what people are doing in set 4. It should be fun. But I think that's going to do it for me, DoA, for Frodan, and for Souless. Thanks for watching Teamfight Talk Show, guys. We'll see you next time.